Newcastle and Liverpool, 2-2 it would finish for Andoni Iraola. A dramatic start to the campaign. Let me start there at the end, because you did just mention that penalty. Matthias Jaisley, you'll have seen speaking after the game, said it was a soft penalty.
What does that mean? It's either a foul or it's not a foul. If it's a foul, it's a penalty, and it's not soft. It's either not a foul. You got this soft nonsense. People come out with all that. I'm sorry, I don't get it. If that was in the other penalty box, I would be saying the exact same thing. And again, I don't get where the debate is, because it's clear as day for me.
Because it's not the foot or the shin that Lewis Hall connects with doesn't mean it's not a penalty kick. It's the thigh, which the sort of knee-stroke thigh, which he extends into Munoz, who's very quick, by the way. We saw him, if you watched him play for Osasuna last year, he is super fast and super direct. And he sort of takes the bait, doesn't he? So it's a penalty. It sort of masked over the problems a little bit, in a sense that Iraola has. Because, you know, Newcastle, we know, have sold the houses. That's going to be a difficult job for them. It's about youngsters. It's about piecing it together with the new manager and all that, sort of selling the crown jewels. For Liverpool, what we're going to get? We were talking about this before we came on air. One of the issues, and there are many for him to solve. Isak being a big one. Wirtz still, huge issue. You could argue the biggest issue they have is the fullbacks.
Fullbacks, Milos Kerkez and Jeremy Frimpong.
The fullbacks in today's game, the fullbacks, fullbacks, of course, every position's always important. But the fullback in the modern game is way more involved, both offensively and defensively, than you always had to defend as a fullback. Of course you did. But never has a fullback had to do as much going forward, whether they're inverting into midfield like a lot of them do, because that's the trend. And then you've got to do the defensive aspect as well. Both those players are struggling big time in both those areas. They're not great going forward, and that's me being nice, and they're terrible defensively. Now, the only thing I was thinking, and I think Frimpong, I saw him at Wembley about 15 months ago, and I swear to God, he could walk under this table. He can't. He's not a fullback, right? He can't play fullback. He's too small. He's not physically strong enough to be a fullback. He's just not. And I don't even think he's a winger, so I don't know what the hell he is. And my only saving grace with Kerkez is that it's Iraola, and he had him at Bournemouth, and he knows what he can do, and maybe the player will get a bit of confidence from that. But that's kind of where I'm hanging it at the moment with him.
The problem with Kerkez is he's had a pre-season with them, and he stepped on the field today, and he was exactly the same player today as he was all of last season. And when I say that, I'm talking about there is no control. There's no composure in anything he does. And it seems a little harsh that we're kind of bashing on about the two fullbacks, because I'm sorry, the captain, Virgil van Dijk, again, has to take a lot of responsibility for this. You know, the fact that Liverpool, both goals are lost on counter-attacks, one that was inside Newcastle's box and the other was on the edge of the box. And between there and the ball hitting the back of the net, there's not a challenge or a tackle or anybody doing anything to stop Newcastle getting forward. And in my opinion, that's down to the centre-back, number one, and number two, your captain. When you're going forward, part of your job is to make sure that if the ball's coughed up or the opposition get it, either you and all the people around, all the players around you, are in a position where you can defend quickly. You can't stand back and let a team just run straight at you. And Virgil van Dijk on the second goal, not only did he let them run straight at you, he backed off from the halfway line all the way into his own penalty box and never got close to anybody. You have to engage the ball somewhere down the line, and he did neither of those things. So I'm sorry, the two fullbacks struggling big time, but you know, Virgil van Dijk, in my opinion, today struggled again as well.
He looks as if we saw this last year with him. He looks to me, and also Kerkez, he's needed help from day one, and he hasn't had it from his captain. Last year he hung him out to dry. I've lost count how many times he's thrown the arms up at Kerkez, because he was struggling. But Virgil van Dijk looks to me as a player, if he was having a Christmas dinner for all the players, Kerkez would be the last one to be invited. And he's the one that's next to him. But it looks to me as if Van Dijk knows he's struggling and doesn't want to help him. And the fact that he's dropping off as many times as he does, I think it's an admittance that he's scared for players to run in behind him now. And he never had that before. Because he was a Rolls Royce, he was as quick as the strikers, but if not quicker. Stronger than them, he was quicker than them, he'd positioned himself well, and he'd always get there first, pretty much. I think he knows in his own mind now, if he squeezes that a little bit, he'll get done in behind.
He used to be, go on then, try and get
you can
by
beat me. Yeah.
Now he's like, I'm going to make sure you don't get in behind me. And that's why he keeps dropping off.
And now he's got a youngster beside him. We're probably going to have to see a Rojo come in, who has had his struggles at Barcelona, but he's experienced. And then, look, I don't want to be too down because it's the first day of the season. There's been a lot of horrible performances in the Premier League, which we'll get to from some of the top teams. But the old problems that he had last year is still there. Florian Wirtz, come on, man, roll your sleeves up, show a bit of grit.
Wirtz and Isak. I know we've got to talk about the defence, but you have to talk about the price tags on these players and what's expected of them. And of course, it's just the start of the season.
But it's not the price tags. It's Isak looks like he will crumble with the pressure of fans shouting at him, of what the expectations at Liverpool are. Yes, he had a lot of injuries, but
I'm going to give him a break today, Craig, Isak, because
it was Newcastle.
Yes, because of the circumstances and because of the game today, I'm going to break on this. And the only reason I'm doing it is because a guy called Wayne Rooney, who arguably is one of the best forwards England ever produced, has never had a decent game of football at Liverpool ever, because that's the treatment he would get every time he went to Liverpool. And he never once had a good game. Never once had an average game. And actually, on one occasion, Fergie left him at home. So,
but then he was
this environment, this environment today is the reason.
But he was good. All right, and he's had injuries. But he was good in the rest. But he wasn't good. He was brilliant in the rest of the games. Whether he never, I mean, I think that's a stretch.
Well,
he's never had a good.
I understand that, but I'm just talking about this one game today. However, on the Wirtz one, I don't see it. I'm sorry.
No, I mean,
I have yes, the goalie made a good save from him early on, but after that, what did he do? Somebody please tell me.
He's going to have to. He's the reverse version of who was the lad that was at Liverpool that went to Barcelona, the Brazilian boy.
Coutinho.
He's the reverse of Coutinho. Coutinho was the standout at Liverpool for a long time. He got this huge move to Barcelona and was terrible, basically.
Yep.
Because Messi was there. I think Messi was still there, and it was all the bigger move than Liverpool. More pressure, all that sort of stuff. And for whatever reason, it never happened for him. Now, if Jan was on, our colleague Jan, he'd probably say, "Give him a chance, give him a chance." But he's had a full season and a full pre-season. Germany got knocked out of the World Cup pretty early, didn't they? So he was home, washed up, cleaned, dried, feet up, rested as best he can. He never went all the way to the final. He's had some sort of pre-season, and what we saw today was just a complete mirror image of last year. So how long is that going to last? Is it going to last to Christmas, where everybody's going, "Oh, give him a chance, give him a chance"? Areola will seen what's happened to Arne Slot. Come in, won the league, did great. Liverpool played really well for 3/4 of the season. They won the league. Then it started to fall apart a little bit. Then it really fell apart, and they sacked him. And even we were sitting back saying, Liverpool don't normally make a decision like that as hastily as that, but they did. And in Areola's mind, as much as they say, well, they're going to back me, he can't have passengers and Liverpool are having another struggling season, because they might just say, do you know what? We're not going to compound the error by keeping him, we're going to move on again.
At the same time, right, we can talk about Isak and we can talk about Wirtz, what they didn't do. But at the end of the day, Liverpool scored 2 goals away from home, right? And I think most managers in the Premier League, if you said to them before every game, well, you're going to get 2 goals away from home, they would all accept that. So the biggest problem, as much as we're talking about how it's not brilliant going forward, the Achilles heel for Liverpool is defensively. I sat here with you Friday, and you asked me, what would I want? And I told you I want a clean sheet.
You did.
Because if you get a clean sheet, you've always got a chance. And if you've got forwards with the talent that they have, although we haven't seen it, if you keep a clean sheet, then it might come. You can take time to let it come. But the way this team defends, that is absolutely 100% their biggest problem, defensively. And I include the middle of the park. Because if the middle of the park was better and stronger, it would stop them getting there on maybe 50% of the occasions, but it's not. So that's where the biggest problem is.
We all know Areola's a really good manager. If you watched the Bournemouth game at City today, which I'm sure we'll probably touch on, which they lost in the end, but they were winning the game with 6 minutes to go, and it really was Areola's team, really, and you could see what all the work they've done over the years and why they finished so high in the season last year. Marco Rosa's taken over, but it really is Areola's team. You can see what he's built. The problem is he's moved up several rungs in the ladder here, and the time you get at Bournemouth and the scrutiny you get at Bournemouth is not Liverpool. It's not even close. So he's obviously going to get time, but he needs some backing. They've got to sign the right players to help him figure this thing out. And at the moment, they're after what looked like they had a great summer last year in terms of their transfer activity, it just seems that they almost have to start all the way over again. So yeah, it was a good point, but bear in mind, it's a Newcastle side that have been pretty much a club that's been in disarray this summer. I thought I was going to see a bit more from Liverpool.
Two sets of fans to give a tribute to Kevin Keegan.
Yeah, I heard John Champion on the NBC commentary say that Kevin wanted to go back, was hoping to go back to Newcastle to a game one last time because he knew obviously the time was short for him. He never got that chance. Xhaka was at the game, as many other ex-players and I'm sure coaches were. And Xhaka played in that team. Never mind Kevin Keegan as a player, playing at Liverpool and Newcastle and starting at Scunthorpe and then going to Germany and winning what he did. Was what he did with that Newcastle team was. It was just a mirror image of him as a player. They never got over the line that year because Man United caught them in that infamous year with Kevin Keegan gave that interview. But the football that they played, the team that he built with the Ginolas and Rob Lee, Les Ferdinand, all these guys, and the list goes on.
People always talk about clubs being sleeping giants. I mean, they were fast asleep, and then he came. And that is why you see what you did today. That's how much they love him. Because he transformed that club into what it is today. There's no question.
I worked with Kevin when ESPN UK was still going. We had the Premier League rights on a Saturday at 5 p.m, 12 p.m. East Coast here. And I did about 18 months in the studio with him and Ray Stubbs. Stubbs used to host it. And he never once in all that time talked about himself, on or off camera, as a player. When I had Newcastle, I did this. When I was at Hamburg and when I was at Liverpool, I did this.
I won the Ballon d'Or twice.
He never mentioned it. If you asked him, he may have talked about it, but he never sat there and sort of spoke to you about everything he achieved. He just came in, did what he did, and he was Kevin Keegan, and that's why one of the reasons they hired him in England, because he was such a famous guy, but we knew he'd been ill, recently, and we actually when Steve McManaman was over, because he lived close to Steve, we were talking about him during the World Cup, and the way Steve was talking, I actually thought he was actually going to be on the mend. I didn't realise how bad things were. So yeah, it's been a sad time for him, but just ironic really that it was Newcastle and Liverpool to play in their opening match of the season and able to give him the magnificent tribute that he got.